Hi, friends. Welcome to Think Out Loud with Me, a chat cast produced, hosted, and humbly offered by yours truly, Natalie, from my little neck of the woods in Northern Colorado to you in yours. As listening stats roll in, I realize that could be on the other side of this beautiful planet, frankly, and that just makes me smile. This every once in a while digital adventure is an effort to turn years of internal chatter, wondering, silent suffering, and physical and mental close calls into constructive and enlightening conversation with others. It's me taking advantage of the irrevocable license to be curious. That's the license issued by the universe and held by every single one of us. Time is our most valuable asset, and you have a lot of choices on how to spend it. Sharing minutes and moments with me in my space is a tremendous honor. I aim to connect with you, be vulnerable and courageous with you, inspire you, wonder with you, and ultimately unfold out loud with you within a safe and respectful space. So let's get to it. As many of you know, I'm a fiend for communications. I love studying it, reading about it. Hell, give me a big white board and a handful of dry erase markers, and we will chart the hell out of it. The fascinating element, the piece that really makes me hum, is communicating with myself and then putting words to that beauty and communicating myself with others. Communicating from a place of self-awareness, communicating with clear intentions, communicating to connect, to grow and thrive. In a recent rabbit hole I dove into, I discovered the concept of ikigai. Have you ever heard this term? According to the Japanese, everyone has an ikigai, or a reason for living. There's a small Japanese village outside of Okinawa, it's the blue zone, one of the blue zones, where the world's longest living people will tell you that ikigai is the secret to getting up in the morning and never stopping moving. Ikigai is the beautiful place where passion, mission, vocation, and profession intersect and become the gas tank to fuel your every single waking moment. Said in a different way, it's a place where what you love meets what you are good at, meets what the world needs, meets what you can be paid for. That's ikigai. Awesome, right? Cut away all the crap of the everyday and home in on this beautiful concept with me. As the universe has her way with everything, at the same time that I'm reading and drooling over this concept, I'm in touch with my guest today, and my own ikigai is ignited. I am so excited to be thinking out loud with Laura DeFranco. She's the owner publisher of Brave Healer Productions, where she'll help you share your story, build your business, and change the world. Laura is a multiple-time Amazon best-selling author with 3 decades of expertise in holistic physical therapy, a 3rd-degree black belt, and she has 70 published books on her list of accomplishments, 71 counting the one that we're here visiting about today. She has a clear and concise preference for being a badass, but she's also the champion of entrepreneurs who want to grow their health-based practices. In addition to running Brave Healer Productions, she's a mom, she's a daughter, sister, and girlfriend. And most recently, she's a new grandma to her son's puppy. I saw a picture on Facebook, adorable. Laura is an introvert and loves time in nature, the forest, then the ocean. Dark chocolate is one of the major food groups in her house, and I'm going to guess that there are reading materials everywhere. When she was a kid, she played library with her sister. I forced everyone to play library with me. She loved books back then too. The Colby test is going to tell you that she's a visionary alien. And every day, like I can so appreciate and have committed myself to as well, she's learning not to take anything personally. Laura, I am really excited to be launching season 3 of Think Out Loud with me and doing it with you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the magic that you bring to this beautiful world. Please say hello to the listeners.
Oh my gosh, Natalie, I am so honored. Thank you so much for having me, but thank you for the way that you showed up and took responsibility for your introduction of your podcast. I fell in love with so many things you just said. There's so many amazing things about how you're doing what you're doing with communication. Thank you. Thank you for doing that in the world. That's big potatoes, world-changing stuff. Thank you also. I've got so many thank yous for you today, but thanks for coming back with the book review, because what you did for me in that moment that you might not have realized, or maybe you did, is it it hit me directly like a spear in the heart. And when I read the words, I'm like, that's why I wrote this. And even one comment like that, I'm good. I don't care about the bestseller status. I don't care what the book does. I'm just like, Natalie, I love you, girl. Like, it was just the best. And we met, I think we met in Teo in person. That's really how we met, right? With Stephanie and Jeremy. We had that beautiful week together. We healed and we wrote together. I'm so grateful for that time with you and getting to know you. And here we are today. So thank you again.
Forward. Yeah. That was February of this past year. And I'll tell you what, if you ever have an opportunity to join an author's journey, it's one thing to dream about writing, and it's one thing to dream about putting your words onto paper and sharing your story. It's quite another experience, right? And I know I can speak for you. You were a part of not only curating the experience, but also taking part in it at the same time, which had to have been just a serious overwhelm at times.
It was a lot.
And I think I even recall looking at you and thinking her brain is just going to go boosh with just like all of the thoughts right. So the experience in Teo was our first time together in person. We'd spent time on screen, as many of us do. But that author's experience of being able to not only learn how to write, but to go through ceremony and experiential instances of pulling the writing out of you, of birthing your words in real time, and then having you as a coach and as a cheerleader to take those words and those things that are bubbling up from the depths and put them into a chapter. We came together as 25 of us, I think, were there total.
Yep, sounds right.
For Storm Heart Sacred Rebel. And that was a piece of my own healing journey that I thank you for being a part of that. It was, as you say, it's big potato stuff. And I will mark that journey in Teo with all of you wonderful humans, Laura included, as just, wow, it was phenomenal. Let's talk about this beautiful book that reconnected us. I want to introduce it to folks not only as a resource book for how to networking for healers. I would dare say that this isn't just for healers, girl. This is for everybody.
For sure. I could have called it networking for beginners. For people who hate networking, I could have called it that too.
Not even beginners, old people, like boil this down, right?
Yeah.
Over yourself and just let's get back to the beauty of networking. But so this book of 70 plus books, this is your 71st. I hope you all heard me say. Tell me about the birth of this book. There's an opening piece where you talk about how this bubbled up in your awareness, and you were driven to your own ikigai. I'm going to tell you need to read about this ikigai.
I do. I know about it. I am in love with that. I listened to what you were talking about in the intro about it, and I was like, oh, I even have somebody I want you to meet because you said that.
Awesome.
Yeah. And if you're okay with me backing up for a second, I'm going to tell you guys about that moment that I had where the book was birthed, but I also just want to shout out Think Out Loud and the concept of this, what you're doing here, because funny enough, it's my favorite technique in writing also. It's that thing where when you offer inner thoughts, but you make them out loud for the reader, and we write those in italics, remember you guys? That is such a massive gift you give to other people, because they get to have permission to be themselves. And me, as a weird alien person, I like to feel that permission, like, oh, I'm maybe not as crazy as I think. Maybe other people do this thing that I am doing in my head. And I just wanted to mention that, even just about the title of the podcast that you're doing, because I'm in love with it. I'm in love with that idea and the gift of it. And I did try to do it in this book as well. I wanted you to be in my head about what I was thinking about this whole networking thing. And I was sitting on the patio practicing getting still. I am doing that more and more these days because it's magical. And just sipping my coffee, staring at the trees, and an entire idea for the class that I eventually taught came in. And I'm like, oh, holy crap, these moments that I have on the patio, like I'm running inside for the laptop or a notebook or anything. And I outlined an entire networking course, 4 modules of it that day in an hour. I mean, like, who does that, right? How does that happen? And so I just knew immediately. So I'll put air quotes around, I sold it before it was created. I posted that same day, who wants to be a part of this class? 45 people within 24 hours signed up for the class. And I'm like, all right, thank you, universe. I got you. And fast forward to a phenomenal 4 sessions with people who really had light bulb moments, were sending me very wonderful words like your review. And I'm like, all right, I got to write the book. So I sat down and took the transcripts from all the courses and edited all my other magical stuff into that. So the reason I just shared process with you all, writing a book isn't always as hard as you think. And if you are a teacher and you've got recorded teaching, you have half your book already. And you can make that happen, right? And so I was like getting out of the way of myself, because I said, oh, Laura, you're really going to try to publish another book in 2371, right? And I was like ready to take a vacation at that point, to be very honest. I've been working really hard. But nope. Universe had one more book that it wanted out. So we made it happen.
That's so awesome. As I shared with you, we were visiting before we hit record, and what struck me about the book and why I literally, I read it in one sitting. I got up a couple times to refill my water and go to the bathroom, but I read it and I want to just commend you, like you're saying, the thinking out loud is truly, and it's part of what you coach, and having, just learned from you directly is part of the empowering experience of being with you, is giving permission to yourself to put those thoughts to paper. And like I said, just, it felt like we were sitting in the living room or on the patio, you sharing these tips and these thoughts and these permissions and these scenarios and the it's okay to screw it up kind of stuff. It was human. It's a very human book. It's a very, like I said, I wouldn't say it's networking for beginners. It's networking for humans that want to connect and do it in a way that serves a greater good, right? That's what we are trying to accomplish. And the premise being that it's the biggest part of this, the secret, if I could give it away. But I think you do this in your everyday life. You live this, is to network to benefit others, always first and foremost. It's not about you. It's building business right? It's building the world and love and appreciation for others. And the rewards of that will come back to you in the form of beautiful downloads from the universe that tell you the world needs this right now, right? I love the parallels that we have between just everyday life and what it means to live. One quote that I'll pull out that I adore: notice the people giving you that reciprocal energy, love, vibe, gratitude, and generosity. Continue to follow up with the people you love talking to and feeling a high vibe from. If it's the opposite, drop it and don't waste your time. Negative people are a no for me. In fact, I've heard you say it multiple times. They're a hard no. I don't have time to waste with something that brings me down or otherwise squashes my purpose or my vibe. Be unapologetic about it. Tell me more about that.
Oh my gosh, you actually made me feel emotional just now about that. I know you weren't expecting that. You know where that line comes from? Is a really hard, traumatic period in the last 3 to 4 years. Gosh, Natalie, you got me.
You got me.
And the reason I wrote that was because I came up against my mental capacity. And I felt that for the first time with this event. My daughter was abused, and we spent 4 years in the court system fighting her abuser. And after being a mom in that situation and being her partner in that fight was no small thing. And it's again, I appreciate the question, and I want people to understand that it's not that I don't care and I'm going to drop negative people. That is not it. It is me setting a boundary for my own badass self when I knew I was at capacity and I did not have time, could not cope, could not tolerate somebody coming in and sabotaging that. And honestly, I had to trust myself to keep my vibe high, but I knew in that state, I was a bit more fragile than usual. I was up against my capacity. For any of you who have been up against your own capacity, that is scary because you've never been there before. You've not felt those pretty horrible feelings. So I know for sure you didn't expect that answer for that one line, but that is my truth of some of what I'm putting into that book. I want people to understand that they have permission to set fierce boundaries. Nobody else has to know why. Now, you guys all know why for me, but nobody has to, and it doesn't matter what they think about it. It only matters that you know and you're protecting and taking care of yourself in the moment that you need to. So when I'm out and about in the world of networking, the big world with so many different people who've been through so many different things, I get to choose who I play in the sandbox with. And for a period of time, I was very unapologetic about my hard nose.
I respect that. A couple things. I respect that because you're taking responsibility for yourself, which, not to say that people don't, but there is a place that you come, I believe, in self-awareness where, and now I've got so many books in my brain that are all melding together. I'm trying to, Michael Singer's Untethered.
And Surrender Experiment. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I'm listening to the lecture series right now. He's such a quirky, funny man. He laughs at his own jokes, which I adore.
Yes.
But thinking about this awareness that we have of ourselves, that finally there's the concept of being unapologetic about it. And then there's just this concept of a sense of self where your standards, your threshold, your tolerance becomes it's what you anchor into, and you start to filter your life. If the reason for us being on this planet is to experience the only reason we have for being on this planet is to live our daily life today, now, present tense, here and now. Laura and Natalie on Think Out Loud. I'm sitting in Colorado. You're sitting in Bethesda, right?
Yes.
Girl, like, what? I have goosebumps from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. This is where we are right now, experiencing one another. And that's what matters. And anything else that threatens this beautiful place, it doesn't have to be a negative reaction. It just isn't no. It just is a boundary. And it's our purpose for being, right? So that the rewards can follow. I love spending where I can feel it now, the energetic connection that happens when you are living presently, right? Uh,
Mm.
so I hear you, and for fuck's sake, don't apologize ever.
You know, I love that you connected. This is a book for humans. This is a book for life. Thank you for seeing and feeling into that, because, the inspiration really was for my business owners at first, because they all feel about networking this yucky, salesy, crappy feeling inside, and they hate networking because they've been taught it's something else. If they were taught what you said, that it's about life, it's about humans, it's about connection, it's about service, then nobody would not like it, right? Everyone would be like, oh yeah, this is just being alive and living a juicy, amazing life is about connecting with other people. And who cares about selling my shit? What about just having a new friend, a new companion on this adventure that we're all on? So it ended up being a bigger book than I think I thought originally.
Yeah, no, it is, girlfriend. It is. And like I call it I've got a sales team. It's a license to be curious, right? That's what life is. Just
Love
ask
that.
questions. Like, what are you doing? How do you and uh take the math. There's this pressure to perform, and that we can't say things wrong, and that we can't trip over our words, and that we have to get it right the first time, and that, oh my God, I'm wasting his time, or she's going to think this, that we have been conditioned to want it's perfectionism, it's imposter syndrome, fill in the blank for all of this. Um, when the beauty of connecting is in the messiness, I think that's even something that you've imprinted me, Laura. That our messy is the place of connection, and to find a human with, grab a hand and be like, let's go over there and figure this out. Like, oh, there's something to nibble on here. Masks, authenticity, I should say, congruence is something that's big for me. Would you say that you have come to a place of, do you what does congruence mean to you? I'm going to reframe that.
So I felt this urge to talk about the mask and for a second. And it's like, I think what came to me was it's so exhausting. And you can live that way for a long time and you won't feel the exhaustion in ways that are very loud to you until your body begins to scream about it. And gosh, you guys, don't let it get to that point, please. Right. And so, I mean, I was definitely living a life where I was trying to check off all the boxes and do what I was supposed to do, and wear that mask is like, oh, what do they want? Well, I better be that. I better say it. I better do it. Gosh, that's exhausting. So if I am my crazy, sexy, hippie self, I'm feeling pretty good in her skin. Like, and I just don't give a crap anymore, because I'm not willing to compromise really literally my physical health. I'm going to pull it right into physical health for all of you who need to hear this, because at one point I was having chest pains and I was sitting around my house. You talk about inner thoughts and thinking out loud. I was thinking inside, oh crap, I am going to die and leave my kids motherless if I'm not careful here. chest pains, you guys, like way too young to be having chest pains, right? So I don't even know if that's the way you were thinking the question, but like that's part of the journey for me, is just to learn. And I have to wake up every day to practice being myself again. I have to do it every day. And I have to gut check myself. Ooh, did you just say that? Like, well, were you saying that because you want someone to like you or love you or sign up for your thing or do this like, no, let's just back up a minute. Like, they really need to know the full on me, because that's really who I want to work with or be friends with or hang out with. They see everything, the mess, and they're like, I love you anyway, because I got a mess too. So let's be messy together. You know, I'll shout out my actual BFF, Miss Shelly. Shelly, I love you, girl. Shelly she is my BFF of 35 plus years. I'm probably getting that year a little wrong because you know how that goes, but I am telling you, she has seen every piece of my mess and loved me anyway.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Hi, Shelley. Thank you. Thank you for taking care of Laura's heart and helping her become her beautiful self. Yeah, I think what resonates with what you just said is that getting up every day and deciding to start anew and practice being me. And it's a big practice session. And it's beautiful. The screw ups are beautiful as well. I hope it doesn't take chest pains, and I had a similar experience, and it's scary. You think it's not going to happen to you. You think, I've got this. I've got things under control. I've got this mask. I know what I'm doing. Until you don't. And that, now I'm going to get emotional. It can level you. And I recently lost my mom, and I'm thinking, death is it's right there. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen later today. That the practice session is over, right? And another plane is reached. But what we do today unapologetically and with fervor and with color and with all the fucks and no shits and the messiness is what matters.
The practice session is over. Thank you for that. Practice well, y'all. Like, put awareness into everything, because then your practice becomes this soul-centered practice that you barely have to apologize for anymore, because it's always connected to that place. And I'm sorry for your loss. I lost my dad this year, and these things wake us up. But what if we could wake ourselves up before? Wake ourselves up during the practice session and figure out what it is we need to say or do, if anything. But I think that would be a pretty cool way to live.
Your mission has touched my heart, from the minute I laid eyes on you. They were what would I say? Digital eyes. I laid on digital eyes on you. And then sharing physical space with you, and emotionful space with you. Your mission, if you could just think out loud about going back to, your introduction and what I love the way that you introduce yourself. And I would love for you to just share. You talk about other people's brave words, other people's stories, empowering the world, changing the world. Can you just lean into your why for just a minute? And
Thank you. When you said that, I was like, oh, she's going to let me do my stage introduction, which is Laura Franco is my name and Brave Healing is my game. Because you guys know I'm a poet, right? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for those snaps. And see how I came alive when Natalie said, really introduce yourself, Laura. Like, who is that girl? Gosh, I've been a poet since I was 15 years old, right? But the piece there that also comes through is something like this. Your fear of not good enough is boring because this isn't about you. Get out of your own way. This is about somebody else who needs to read or hear the message in the way only you can express it. You can change that person's life. You might even save that person's life if you're brave enough to share your story, your words, your work, talk about yourself. I mean, it's hard, isn't it? Sometimes. So that is the stuff, right? I'll give a shout out to Miss Shirley, who is, it's the Shirley story, but Miss Shirley was a woman that I met who changed my whole mission. Like I can see the vision of her striking the match and throwing it into the bottom of this fire that explodes into space. It's kind of like the Teo fire, Natalie. Like that is how fueled I've felt after meeting her and understanding what was possible when I got brave about my story, or even just got brave enough to like grab a microphone at all, shaking and spitting and doing it imperfectly. It could be any range of being brave like that. We're not talking about a perfect keynote performance here, right? So yeah, thanks for that question.
I love it. I just noticed Frida over your shoulder.
Oh, this one?
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh, Jeanette McDonald is an amazing artist who I collaborated with in the very, very early stages of this publishing game. Jeanette passed from cancer. She was very young. And when I heard that news, beginning of this year or maybe the end of last year, I was shocked and really, really sad. And I love you, Jeanette. And I will always, always remember our time where she was from Canada and I'm here in Maryland, and we met at the writers conference in New York for the first time. We shared an Airbnb, total strangers to each other, except for over the internet. I will always remember being with her and her beautiful artwork. And she inspired me to try stuff. Like I can say to you all, you're all an artist. You're all a writer. You're all a healer. It's just a matter of what you're brave enough to try, right? So she had me get the paints out. I'm like, maybe I could do this little painting thing, right? So in other places of this room that I'm sitting in, there are my tries. But that one that you're looking at is her, and she was just a fabulous woman.
It sounds like it. Absolutely. That's awesome. I would love to make sure that not only, so we've got networking for healers available for purchase. I want to leave folks, all of your links will be in my show notes. And I will leave multiple places to be in touch, but can you share with everyone how to best be in touch with you? You've in addition to networking for healers, you've got some other things happening in your ever busy, ever ready bunny life that you lead.
So many things.
Can you give us a snapshot of that?
Yeah, thank you so much. Come on over to bravehealer.com and you can see a little bit of all these different things. But I love to make the invitation to come to our Monday Morning Breakthroughs free networking event for healers. It's the first and third Mondays, 10 a.m. Eastern. And we'll have that starting off the new year with just a chance to come into the community and meet the amazing people that are a part of this revolution that we got going on. And we are practicing together, right? So you can find that on Facebook. We've got Brave Badass Healers, a community for world changers on Facebook. And of course, the website can get you there eventually, and reach out to me through those channels and social. LinkedIn, you can find Laura Franco, and I would love to chat with you guys.
Beautiful. And I can vouch for that. You are you are a committed soul, and I have mad respect for you as a human, as a businesswoman, as a publisher, as a leader, as a healer of your own beautiful version of yourself. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, my shaman heart, my sacred connecting with you, and letting me into your network, into your circle, and allowing me to spend a few minutes with you and watching the sun rise up over the rooftops here in my home, and knowing you've got your day well on its way, and I hope it's a beautiful one. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Natalie, for everything that you're doing. You are a powerful force, woman. And the energy really for me is spectacular when I'm with you. And again, I'm just going to repeat that when you get to play with people who take responsibility for their own energy and how they're showing up in the world, your game is immediately changed in life. And you are just one of those people for me. So I'm going to just shoot the thank yous right back at you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Think Out Loud with Me is a project. I have no end game of fame or fortune from its being aired, just that my words and the words of my guests, like Laura Franco, give rise and light to another human being's sense of self and belonging in this beautiful space. I am grateful for the strength to share and the opportunity to connect. I can confidently say that every cast fulfills me, and while some make me squirm as a human, emotions bubble up from the depths unexpectedly, none have ever made me feel anything but enriched. And I count this one among those. So thank you for joining me. Thanks everyone for listening and for ultimately thinking out loud with me.